What's up, you guys? I figured I'd make another video today. Um, so I want to touch up on child abuse and specifically my story, how it relates to me, and touch up on something that Hamza said recently in one of his videos. He made a whole video on bullying, and it was a very good video, and I agree with everything. Um, the only thing I ever so slightly disagree with, and I agree with it partially too, is that he says in every possible, no, it doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how little you've been bullied, every instance of bullying always results in some type of negative. Basically, people always, the example he used was basically people say, well, being bullied makes you have better character, it makes you tougher, it makes you this, makes you that. You gain more from bullying, you become a stronger person. And he said, well, factually, that's not correct. And to an extent, I do believe with that. Um, I believe that you get a little harder and you get a little stronger from going through rough things. But at the same point in time, that also damages you. Uh, it's like going in, like imagine a hot piece of metal going into a forge and getting put in the forge, getting heated up till it glows, and then going into something like oil or water. They quench it in oil a lot of times, so they quench it in water. Water is more tendency to warp the blade, but it becomes a very strong weapon, but it also puts incredible stress on the blade and it can destroy it in the process. The blade could become warped and that can be fixed, or the blade could literally just shatter, or break, or crack, whatever. Um, so I think the same kind of happens with bullying, and I'll get into my story in a second. Um, but my view has always been, if you have a bow and arrow, you pull the bow back, and you have to pull something back and launch it forward. You have a rubber, like let's say dodgeball, those stupid little rubber balls that makes that batong sound. The harder you slam that thing on the ground, the harder it bounces back up. So I think there's an element of that in us as well. Like when we go through something hard, we tend to adapt and become stronger, but it doesn't mean it doesn't damage us or hurt us or stress us out in the meantime. And some people like it's like the blade that warps or cracks. Some people can fix that stuff. Some people they just are just broken forever after that. I'm not saying there's no point in time where bullying is ever necessary, and even in the cases where people do get stronger from going through stuff like that, it still shouldn't happen. But anyways, my story. I'm gonna have to do my best to not mention names because a lot of my family members have cleaned up their acts, and my mom's side. I have one side of my family. There's a lot of alcoholics, right? And I'm not trying to. They're not all on this side. There's some on the other side. Actually, both sides of the family. Come to think of it, but um, there's a lot of alcohol that goes on one specific side of the family. A little bit the other side of like one of the grandparents who was left my grandmother and my dad ended up getting adopted and whatnot. But beside the point. Um, anyways, my story. Suppose I'll start when I was little. I had a parent that was like not really like a parent, like a parental kind of figure in my life. Someone that helped kind of raise me when I was a kid. Um, that was very heavy handed with me. That used to hit me a lot and used to um, how do I say this? I'm trying to do this without mentioning names. Basically, this person had a lot of abuse in their life. It was hit a lot when they were a kid. Was treated very poorly by their parents. So when they finally got to a position in life where they were able to help someone's child or be like a parental figure, they copied what because kids don't actually learn. They copy for the most part in the beginning. They mimic sounds. They mimic. That's how they learn. Um, so what people do is they have copied learned behaviors. So what that person did was they would get angry. They'd be learning. I'd be learning English, let's say literature, period I before E except after C. Remembering certain things like flashcards and stuff like that. You remember this, and this person would just get uh, angry, and and if I didn't get something right, that person would yell at me, and then eventually they would get really frustrated, and they would start swearing, and they would get really angry. And this isn't an actual parent. I know I tried to say parental figure, but it's like it was like a close relative. It's not a parent that did this to me when I was a kid. But the one time I remember specifically, I was reading this literature book, and I was just couldn't figure it out. And I was a little weird when I was a kid. I would read stuff backwards. I was a little dyslexic or something like that. And I know I have a slight lisp. I'm not super good at speech. Not my strong suit. Um, but I just couldn't figure it out. It was something with exclamation points and various things, and I just like, I don't get it. I don't remember which point comes after what sentence. I just started getting angry and angry and angry. Till at one point they swatted at me, hit me, and then I remember again, I can't remember what I said. I said something that made them angry. It just made them snap. Like I talked back after they tried to make me submit or silence me, or punish me for not getting it right. And that person grabbed me by my jaw with both hands, started squeezing my lower half of my face really hard in my head. And I'm she was saying, I can't remember what she said. I was gonna say, I don't actually remember what she said. She was going on about this and that. You don't understand anything, this and that, you blah blah. She was just like squeezing the bottom half of my face as hard as she could, and she was a grown adult, and I was maybe 4 or 5 at the time, and she was just squeezing my face and getting angry and angry. I looked right into her eyes, and I said, "You can't hurt me." And I felt pain, but then she started squeezing even harder, this person said, "You don't even know what I've done to guys my size. This and that," and going on and on about how tough she is, this and that, how she's gonna hurt me, this and that. And I said, you can't hurt me." And again, I could have cowered and I could have cried, and I'm not saying I'm some badass, I'm not. But the mindset of, you can't do this to me, you can't hurt me, whatever, almost kind of like stoicism a little bit. But basically, that person let go of me for a second. I ran. I said, "I'm gonna tell my dad," and I ran out to the my dad was mowing the lawn, right to the back door, and this person followed me. And this she said, "Oh yeah, whatever, he's not gonna do nothing." And when she saw I was running and I was bolting through the door, she got up and ran behind me. And my dad was out there. My dad. And he's like mowing the lawn. And he's like, "What? I'm in the middle of something. What are you supposed to be doing? Your schoolwork stuff?" I was homeschooled, and that person behind me said, "It's not true, this and that, whatever." And said, "Dad, she was hitting me. She hurt me. She said this and that." And then she just stepped out in front of me and talked to my dad. And my dad is like, "Don't touch him. Don't do this. Don't do that." He didn't think it was very serious, I don't think. Because, again, this is a close family relative. And who are you going to believe, a 4-year-old or a 30-something-year-old who has kind of a decent track record, but is just really angry and abusive? Like, this person wasn't in the best family life. And, how do I say? Hurt people, okay? People that are hurt, that are damaged, they hurt others. But anyway, she's talking to my dad, and he's like, no, this isn't true. He's lying. He's this. He's that. He's whatever. We were just doing some homework, and he ran off and got angry and whatever else. I don't remember it all because the door was kind of partially closed in front of them. She kind of pushed me back in, and I was behind the back door, and she's kind of like holding it like with one hand, she's holding it and kind of pushed me away, and the door is cracked like this much maybe. So I didn't hear everything, but yeah. And then we went back. Like, "Oh, you got me in trouble, this and that." I was like, "You were hurting me." Anyways, continued doing some schoolwork for a couple more minutes, and I think she left. She was just pissed off that I spilled the beans about her hitting me. Well, hit me a little bit. It doesn't mean like she was angry at me. I think she slapped me or whatever. But then, she's like, "I'm a little kid." She's like crushing my jaw damn near, and that hurt. But I didn't let her know that it hurt. So bullying, and again, this isn't more so child abuse. I guess this isn't bullying. In my instance, when I was a little kid, I guess you have to have the right mindset. But I had a lot of other stories too. I mean, I can give you some quick rundown. Maybe in a future video, I'll dedicate a whole video to each individual story and give you all the details that I remember. And my memory isn't perfect, but I remember a lot of these things are also seared into my brain. Again, it goes back to you'll be stronger, but you'll be from going through hard stuff. But again, not to say it doesn't cause damage. But some of the best people in the world, the greatest whatever, athletes, whatever, went through heartbreaks. Tom Platz, a lot of these guys, they went through horrible things in their life that they channeled and they used in the right way. That it can be a weapon, it can be a superpower, but it's also it is what it is. But anyways, another one was I had a cousin, a relative that used to be horrible when I was a kid, and this guy was like mid 20s or whatever, and he was a construction worker, and I was literally 12 years old when I met him. Maybe in earlier 20s actually, like maybe 22, I don't know. But this guy was brutal on me, dude, and he came from a horrible family life. Horrible. Alcoholic parents, his dad just died or whatever, and he was just angry and miserable. And he had a bad family life too. And a lot of the people on that side of my family that don't they live in far away from us, but they moved up here. Their parents I know were abusing them, and not just physically, but abusing their grandparents. Somebody, whoever it was, I can't remember who it was. Someone was abusing them, the younger kids in the family, by molesting them. And especially knowing this now, I don't really hold anything against these people because some of them went through horrible things when they were a kid, and the worst thing they did to me was give me a couple bruises. Um, so I don't hold these. I forgive these people, and it's a lot easier to forgive them knowing that. But basically, this guy would like make my life kind of not a living hell, but like not a very nice place to live. No, I'm not sure if he was gay or whatever, but he would always call me gay. You're gay, this and that. You're a homo, this and that. And he was one time we went to the mall, and he started making up this song about how I was gay in the mall, and it was I was 12 and it wasn't a very good song, but he's like, oh, Chris is gay, this and that, blah blah blah, and his singing voice just trying to point me out in public, and um, family members that were supposed to be, I figured hopefully would help me, but like, hey dude, what are you doing? We're in a mall, and Christian isn't gay, but people that were supposed to, I assumed were going to help me, actually laughed and made it worse. And again, I'm like, I'm not gay, but a couple people laughed and they walked by, and I was like, dude, I was 12. I was pretty insecure at the time and pretty depressed because, and again, I was hit and not treated so well by other family members in my lifetime before this, and the family members that I thought were going to protect me did not. My dad was not there, otherwise, my dad probably would have. Sent this guy to an ER. He would have been drinking his toilet water out of a fucking straw or something. My dad wouldn't have liked that very much. But this guy would. He's always bad to me when my dad wasn't around because he knew he's a little coward. He's like a little. He's like a little shrimp. He's built like a string bean. But anyways, I was a little kid. He was still stronger than me. But he one time he was like, we were in the mall, the same mall actually, same day. He tried to pick me up and throw me in a trash can. He'd always remind me how fat I was, how ugly I was, how dumb I was. We'd play a game and I could beat him 10 times and be like, hey, good game. And then he would win and then he'd be like, you suck, this and that, you play like an old person, blah, blah, blah. And he spoke Spanish, not English, so he was like, it's all Spanish swear words and telling me how dumb I was. Um, and he'd always want to play games. And so he would always be giving me shit. I think even when I wasn't playing, he would give me shit about how much I sucked. And I was like, dude. Um, or whatever. I remember one time it was actually my brother's birthday, and he showed up with a cake. My brother's like he's a couple of days apart, so he showed up on the weekend with a big cake, and like I'm only here for a couple of seconds, but I got him this really big cake, man. I got this and that. I love this guy, this and that. I'm like, oh, cool. That's cool. Didn't got nice something, and I figured he might not get me anything. I don't need anything from this guy, but it's nice that he did that for my brother. And took a big picture, to have family, this and that, blah blah blah. Said, all right, I gotta go, goodbye, and then left us with this giant cake. So I was like, okay, well that's cool, thank you. My birthday rolls around, he doesn't even say happy birthday to me, which again, I don't need him to, but it's just the fact that he was trying to make it, trying to make a big scene, and then trying to do absolutely nothing for me on my birthday. And I remember before this guy, like he was really weird too. He would try to bring me to places alone. He'd try to do. This guy is not a normal individual, but he would He was out there, man. He would hit me a little bit, like not okay, not hit me, but he would like pinch me and push me, shove me around a lot in the parking lot. He would shove me or whatever, push me around, pick me up, try to throw me in a trash can. He'd fucking bite me. I still don't get that. When I was a kid, I was like, that's weird. Now I'm as an adult, 20-year-old, same, not even as old as he was when he was doing these things to me, being like, man, what the fuck? This guy would fucking bite me, dude. He's not a normal individual. This is a uh, angry individual who was abused when they were a kid in various ways, and now that he's finally able to inflict some oppression onto another individual, because the dream of the oppressor has become the dream of the oppressor is to become the oppressor. Once he finally became the oppressor, who became able to do that, he was like tripling down on him, and yeah, it was pretty bad. And I had another, um, basically a caretaker person who used to take care of me. Um, Just when I was a kid, he used to tell me I was a retard. He used to tell me that basically their relationship with their partner would have been better if I wasn't there. They didn't have to take care of me. Basically, the marriage would have been better. She said the marriage would have been better if I was never born. A person told me that. Caretaker told me that. Someone's supposed to take care of me. Like I was stressing their relationship just by having to take care of me sometimes. It's just like things. These people is I'm not trying to say they're not good people. I mean they're not good people, but I don't hate them, and they're not murderers or nothing, or they don't you know shoot up schools or nothing. It's not like that, but they're very damaged individuals, and they're the type of people that got bullied or got abused, and they like the story that wasn't just warped, they completely shattered and never got better. I got bullied, and because I got bullied and got picked on for being fat when I was 13, I was like, fuck it, I'm going to start doing. I don't know how to lift weights, I don't know anything about the body. I'm going to start studying it, and I'm going to do 15 push ups and 15 sit ups every day. Eventually became 30, eventually became 50, 100. And for a period of time, it was actually 300. I actually got that far. Well, I was actually, after like a year, 2.5, 2 years almost, I was able to do 300 push ups. It took me 2 years to go from 15 to 300. But, yeah, no, that's what got me into it. Weightlifting was I didn't want to be small and picked on anymore. And again, the sentiment from which that proceeds from is a place of insecurity, which isn't super healthy, um, which isn't a super healthy fuel source. You should be like, love yourself. You want to be the best. You want to do this. You want to be a good Christian. You want to be whatever. That should be motivation. But um, I didn't really have a lot of motivation when I was a kid. So having that fire under my ass of, let's get better. We got a problem. I'm getting picked on. Let's get bigger. Let's get better. Let's get stronger. And it worked. No one messed with me once. Especially when I hit a growth spurt and I hit it, went over 6 feet tall. No one fucked with me anymore. No one. Not even didn't even like say bad things to my face anymore because And again, I have one side of my family is Mexican, so they're all short. That's most of the abusers are. The other side is like white, and I got various Western Europe, whatever places, and I'm just tall. So I took after that side, and I got tall, and I towered over the other people that were mean to me before. And this is where God comes in, and forgiveness comes in, and prayer, and asking for forgiveness, and asking for strength to forgive. Because, I mean, obviously, I'm an adult. If I can't bully, it's not like bullying a little kid or being a kid and bullying another kid. If you're an adult and you punch another adult, you're going to jail. But, I forgave these people, and I'm not a great guy. I just forgave these people because, I would want to be forgiven, and there's some bad things I've done in my life. I got angry for a period of time when I was in school and I wasn't quite big enough or strong enough, and the younger kids, and I wasn't the take your lunch money kind, but I was pretty mean. I was pretty mean. And there's a couple of times where someone would do something to me or whatever, like would make me like one kid like shoved me a little bit, so I grabbed him and I slammed him into a locker right in front of a bunch of people, and that wasn't a very right thing to do, and it wasn't nice to do it in front of people, and just it wasn't a good thing to do all around the board, and a few times I yelled at kids and I held them against the locker like in like a movie or whatever, like I'm threatening them or whatever, like you leave me the fuck alone, this and that, whatever, you don't mess, you stay away from whatever, I don't remember what he's doing about. A few times that happened, only like five, more 4 or 5 times, but total, but yeah, there's no room for bullying in terms of child development. There's no room for that because it just damages. I mean, it can do great things in terms of being a superpower in the sense if you can channel that anger, that rage, that emotion. I truly hate being fat, so I'll never be fat again. Mark my words, watch me. You're gonna. I mean, I don't know how soon I'll die, but you could get hit by a bus tomorrow. But if I have to this YouTube channel when I'm 50, see what I look like. I hope I'm not fat, unless maybe I'm a power lifter and I have that big friggin' belly or whatever, so I can. I don't know, but no. If you hate something, if you hate a powerful emotion, and it can be channeled very well. If you hate evil, you're gonna be a good guy. If you hate being fat, you're gonna be pretty fit. If you hate, I don't know, the way you were treated as a kid, then there's two ways that can go. You can let that anger out on an individual and be the same monster that created you, or you can go in the opposite direction and be an extreme, good person, a good parent, which is what I hope I can do when I'm older. But only time will tell, man. So if this video is all over the place, getting better at being in front of a camera and telling stories. I don't have any scripts or nothing, so I'm just always off the cuff, letting you know how it is. But I'm gonna close it out here. If you got child abuse stories or anything you want to share in the comments, go for it. You want to tell me something, tell me why I'm great, tell me why I'm wrong, I suck at this and that, go for it. Leave a comment. But I'll see you later. Have a good day, and thanks for watching.